Big news. The almanac is officially back. The most exhaustive and comprehensive guide to the 2023-24 college basketball season is available for pre-order now. If you go to cbbalmanac.com, link is in the description below, you can pre-order for just $15.99 or 20% off the sticker price. The format is going to be a little bit different this season. Instead of an 850-page PDF, you'll be getting access to the full site with league-by-league PDFs available for download. The preview will be live on September 20th, so you have until then to be able to get your pre-orders in. So for insight for all 362 Division I teams from their head coaches and the experts that cover them, make sure you hit that link.
Welcome back. It's the Field of 68's off-season grades. Today we are talking the most handsome coach in college basketball, Rob. Tony Bennett and the Virginia Cavaliers. A lot of faces we've come to know and associate with Virginia basketball have departed this program. The main one, Rob, being Kihei Clark. I swear he was there for 13 years. He's gone, as is Jaden Gardner, Armand Franklin, Ben Vanderplas, Caden Shedrick, Isaac Trout, and Francisco Cafaro. Coming back, the big star, Reese Beekman, 9.5 points per game last year. That's got to take a big jump, along with Isaac McNeely, Ryan Dunn, and Tane Murray. And as far as newcomers go, Rob, not a ton of portal names in here, but there are a few. Dante Harris is in from Georgetown, Jordan Minor from Merrimack, Andrew Rhodes, 17 points per game at St. Thomas last year, and Jacob Groves from Oklahoma, Elijah Gertrude, Blake Buchanan, and Anthony Robinson are the incoming recruits. This very much feels like a new era of Virginia basketball to me. A lot of new personnel. Tony Bennett is going to have his work cut out for him. Where does this offseason start in your mind, Rob?
I mean, it's very weird having basically 7 new dudes on a Virginia team, right? Like the whole thing about Virginia has always been they have their core. They have this group that they're going to develop. They're going to have Kyle Guys as juniors and Ty Jerome's as seniors, and they're going to have all these players that are pros like DeAndre. I'm blanking on his last name. That end up DeAndre Hunter that end up hanging around as red shirts and end up being NBA draft picks. And now they're just kind of like they're in the portal. They're turning people over. It feels like the identity isn't quite there. They're losing guys like Isaac Trout to red shirts, to transfers. They're losing guys like Caden Shedrick. It feels very un-Virginia for the way that this offseason kind of went. And I would push back a little bit on you. I think that they actually made some decent additions out of the portal. Like Jordan Minor was an absolute stud at the NEC level, and it's the NEC level, which is probably like a bottom 3 conference in all of college basketball. But he was a stud there. He did everything. He's like 6'8", 230. The kid from St. Thomas, Andrew Rhode, like he is a 6'6" combo that can pass it, that can shoot it, that's going to give off some Ty Jerome vibes to people. Dante Harris is put up big numbers on bad basketball teams at Georgetown. Make of that what you will. And then Jacob Groves is like your typical stretch 4. But like those are four guys that I think can do a job at the ACC level. The problem is with what they have coming back, you need more than just like guys that can do a job, right? Like Reese Beekman he's not the star. Like we wanted him to have his breakout year last year. Like we were on this network, we were touting him as like, oh, this kid could end up being like a top 20 pick. He's such a lockdown defender. He's going to figure it out. This year is, Ryan Dunn is kind of that guy where I'm like, oh man, this kid's going to be a stud. You should see what he could end up being, but like he still has to kind of get there. So they went from being a team where they were going to play the specific style and you could trust in them to be very, very good at it because they had NBA players everywhere on the roster, Joe Harris, Malcolm Brogdon, all dudes like that, to being a team where like they're going to play a very specific style, but like, they have solid ACC players in Jaden Gardner. They have a guy in Kihei Clark who's just kind of there forever. I feel like Reese Beekman's going to be the new Kihei Clark, where we just keep waiting for him to be something more than this lockdown defender that does just enough to be good in the ACC. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm so torn on what Virginia can end up being that like it is what it is.
I also feel obligated, just since we've mentioned Kihei Clark so much, we have to call out the fact that he has the most tragic arc in college basketball history. To be there for 13 years and go from throwing the best pass in college basketball history his first year to how his career ended in the NCAA tournament, just a sad arc. Kihei, I hope you're well wherever you are. But yeah, I don't like this. I'll just say that. I feel like we're kind of biting a little bit here with Tony Bennett of like, I think he's one of those coaches that doesn't necessarily want to go all in on the portal and is doing so because he has to, right? Like that's not how he was building rosters before, and everybody's had to adjust. But he is one of those guys who like had such a successful formula before this blew up the entire sport. And now I feel like it's been flipped on its head and he's just not set up for success in the way that it was. And give him credit. Yes, he brought in bodies. I swear I get shivers every time I hear the words up transfer. Like you want up transfers to be guys that can maybe step in, be fourth, fifth options, play depth pieces, all of that. Like this Virginia team season, in my opinion, will rely largely on if the guys who average 17 points per game at Merrimack and St. Thomas can come in and score 15 points a game at Virginia. And I'm scared by that. Like Reese Beekman, I think might have to shoulder way more than he's capable of the burden for this team. And he's good. Don't get me wrong. Like Reese Beekman's very good. He's going to play in the NBA for a really long time. But
is he though? Like, are we sure about that?
I think we are. I do.
I mean,
I think he would have gotten picked this year had he left, to be honest. Maybe not, but
I mean, okay. I don't want
You're out.
I don't want this to turn into like the anti-Reese Beekman podcast, but like,
okay.
I don't know. Like he's 6'3". Can he really score? Like, if you are a point guard, right? If you are a lead guard, if you're a combo guard, and you are any good, by the time you're a junior, like you're probably gone, right? Like you're probably to the point where you need to be able to start making some moves. And I don't know if he would have gotten picked. You know, like I don't know what he does great. Yeah, I think he does some good things, but I mean that's kind of like that's my question with this entire like Virginia program right now. And what they have coming in is that they have like guys that can do things, and they lost guys that could do things, and they have a couple guys coming in that can do things, but there's no one in there that you're scared of. Now, all of that said, the ACC is wide open, right? Like who in the ACC are you scared of, right? Other than Duke.
Duke I mean, maybe the number one team in the country.
Yeah, Duke is loaded, right? But outside of that, you know, North Carolina could be good, but there's also a lot of people that'll tell you they're going to be like another 500 team in the ACC again next year, right? Virginia Tech lost a lot of important pieces, right? Syracuse, maybe, I guess. Are we buying on them at this point? Like Miami lost some guys that they didn't really want to lose. Florida State's kind of fallen off a little bit in recent seasons. So if you were to tell me that with these pieces that Virginia has right now, if they were to put it all together and go 16-4 in the ACC and finish 2 games behind Duke because they beat NC State a bunch and they beat Notre Dame a bunch, and you know they got 2 wins over Georgia Tech and Boston College and some of these other really shitty programs in the conference right now, like, yeah, I think I would probably like I wouldn't say that you were wrong. I wouldn't disbelieve it. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with Virginia. I'm sorry, yeah. Virginia fans. If you were looking for some like really insightful analysis into Virginia basketball in the state that it's in right now, like you've come to the wrong place because I don't know. Let me ask you this. How long, if you set the over under, no, give me a line. What would you set the line at for how many years Tony Bennett is going to keep coaching? How much longer is he going to be in this profession?
I think that number is directly correlated to how many wins this team wins. Genuine. Like if this team bottoms out and God forbid has like a losing record, which I think is possible. Sorry, Virginia fans, but I really do. I think he would be gone in the next 3 to 4 years. Now, if this team just like makes the NCAA tournament because Tony Bennett is a great coach and could take Goodman, T.O., you and me with Reese Beekman and make the tournament in the ACC, then like, okay, then I think he's rebuilding again. We'll see what he puts together. But I just think like I get the sense this is nearing, like you can see the hole at the end of the tunnel for Tony Bennett right now. And I think it's very much like a pivotal turning point type season where there has to be some sort of momentum you're building toward. Like, who's the core from this group that is going to be here in 2 seasons for Tony Bennett? Like, Reese
I
Beekman's
think
going to leave after this year.
you would think so, but like, who knows? He still has another 7 years because of the like COVID rules and everything. No, but if in 2 years, I wouldn't be shocked to see Reese Beekman hang around. I think Ryan Dunn is one of the cores that you're building with. I think that you're buying into the idea that Andrew Rohde could end up being like this guy that stays for 4 more seasons and has an all ACC kind of a ceiling, right? Like I can see some of that. They brought in a couple of top 100 recruits that aren't bad, that are kind of like Virginia guys on paper. So I could see it happening, but I think you're right that a lot of it's going to be like, what does this year look like and who do they end up losing? Because I do think that for Tony Bennett, the idea of having somebody like an Isaac Trout, who is going to be really good for Creighton, right? And redshirting him and not being able to take advantage of how good he is. The idea of seeing someone like a Caden Shedrick, who is really talented, not buy into what you want and end up leaving the program to go transfer to Texas. Like, I think those are the things that are going to kind of drive Tony Bennett insane when it comes to this, and would be what probably would prematurely end a career. I do think there's going to be a point in time where we look back at the 2019 national title game and say, hold on a second. Wait, so you're telling me that Virginia and Texas Tech at one point in time were the two best teams in college basketball with maybe two of the best coaches in that moment in college basketball, and this is what's happened to them within 5 years? Yeah, I think I would not be surprised to see that happen.
We're living in a simulation, Rob. That's the greatest indication we can find. All right. We as far as expectations go, we have none. We don't know. That's our answer. Who's the X factor?
I will just say, like, you're Virginia, right? The expectation should always be we're finishing in the top 4 of the ACC. We should be a threat to win the ACC tournament title, and we should be a threat to win at least a game in the NCAA tournament. You're Virginia. You won a national title 4 years ago.
Tony Bennett deserves so much credit for the fact that the words "You're Virginia" are being uttered as far as expectations go. Who's the X factor? If you had to pick one or a position, who's the X factor for this team?
I think it's Ryan Dunn. I think if you look at kind of what he is on paper, he is an athletic 6'8" guy that can, make some shots. Like he is kind of the guy that you're looking for in modern basketball, right? Like those kind of big wings, those athletic wings. And he's got to take a step forward. He's got to be someone that can have some kind of impact this year. Cause like Isaac McNeely, like you kind of know what he is, right? Like in these up transfers, like you kind of know what to expect out of them. And freshmen are freshmen. Like and it's Virginia. Like these aren't going to be one and done freshmen coming in and doing what Brandon Miller did last season. Right. So to me, it's Ryan Dunn. Like if he could end up being something in the neighborhood of an all-league caliber guy, and Reese Beekman continues to develop, and all these other role players end up hitting something close to their ceiling, then we're talking about a team that could legitimately win 15 or 16 games in the ACC, right? I don't think that that's out of the question. But to me, the most talented, just in terms of raw ability, I think the most talented guy on the roster is probably Ryan Dunn. Is that crazy to say? Am I out of my mind? I might be losing my mind.
I just think you're way too down on Beekman. That's my answer. Like outside of Reese Beekman, yes, I don't think that's crazy at all. I'm still buying Reese Beekman stock. And for that reason, he's my X factor. It's probably a cop-out answer, but I think this team goes as far as Reese Beekman takes them, which if you are like Rob Doster, that's a terrifying proposition. There is a world where that flames out incredibly, and Reese Beekman is not anything more than what we've already seen from him. Now, if there is a leap, if there's a jump, if he does what a lot of NBA scouts have said they think he could do on a team that's built around him offensively instead of built around Kihei Clark, I do think this team could get it together, and Beekman will be the reason why. Let's give them a grade. Rob, man, this is going to be a tough one. What's your grade for Virginia?
I'm going to give them a C+, right? Like, I think that they lost some pieces that they didn't want to lose. And I think that if we're talking about Caden Shedrick and Isaac Trout on this roster, we're having a very different conversation about what we think their ceiling could end up being, whether or not they are good fits in terms of culture in the program and whatnot. but they also went out and they did like some pretty good things in the portal. I don't think you can really complain about the pieces that they were able to bring in, right? Like I think the best case scenario when it comes to the way that you want to use the portal, as I keep going back to this, is the way that UConn did it last year, where they went out and they've got 4 players out of the portal who they all knew could do, who they were bringing to do a specific job and play a specific role. And those guys did that specific job and they thrived in that specific role. And they ended up winning a national title as a result of it. And I think that Virginia did that. The difference is that Virginia does not have the superstars that UConn did. UConn has 3 guys that are playing in the NBA right now. So that's kind of where I am at. Long-winded way of saying C+. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go C-. I don't think I'm too far off from you. And look, if this grade was more tied into just like, how do I think Virginia will be next year, or the year over year from last year to this year, what does it look like? I would honestly give them an F. I think this team is going to take a massive step backwards. I just would. But my grading system, as you know, Rob, as you've heard, is not about what players are leaving the pro. Like they couldn't have done anything about Kihei Clark leaving the program or Jaden Gardner leaving the program. It's about what have you done. I do think they have backfilled those spots relatively well. It's a balanced roster, if not a roster that I believe has a lot of talent or upside. For that reason, C-. Beekman is back. I give him some credit for retaining him. I do think he could have left. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. C+ and a C- for you, Virginia. Good luck to Virginia fans this year. Please don't kill us in the mentions. We get enough of that from other teams. If you want to see all of our off-season grades series, you can do so on the Field of 68 YouTube channel. Subscribe while you're there so that you don't miss out on anything we put out here from the Field of 68. For Rob Doster, I'm Greg Waddell. We'll see you next time.
Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water, or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's field68, FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks.